let's get it going. We're talking about showings. We're talking about the listing setup. And where I left off was showing. Okay, we are live now. Fantastic. Showing time, showingtime.com. This is a showing service that I believe you have in the Tucson Association of Realtors. It's just starting to get integrated with your, or it should be integrated already with your MLS. This is one of the best features that you can use to help, you know, not delegate, but streamline what you're doing. And when you set up your listings in the beginning, to set up your listings, you're going to have to, if I go back one step, you have to set it up for in-person and virtual appointments, right? And why is that different? Because in our market, what we were doing is we would have somebody for the first, let's say 24 hours, we're doing virtual showings only. And then on the second day, we would do a group Zoom showing, meaning I would go to the house, do it via Zoom, and have anybody who was interested look at the house that way. And then on the third day, we would start in-person showings. Anybody who hadn't participated, or anybody who participated in the first two and were still interested in the property. Let me go back, collapse this. Okay. Okay, now my screen is frozen. This is unbelievable. Okay. All right, so there we go. Allow showing agents to request virtual showings. These are all in the settings. Every time you put in a new listing, make sure you set up your showing time and you set it up for virtual showings so that people can show your properties virtually. Allow showings to request virtual showings. When they request the virtual showings, there's a number of different ways you could do it. You could say, here's a pre-recorded video that we have for you. Here is a Zoom video link, and you can send them that for them to participate in. Or you can have like a Matterport or something like that, which Jeff talked about just recently in regards to, it's an immersive video experience where you can guide them through that. Meaning you share that with them. And as you go through, you can say, oh, here's the kitchen. And you're doing it virtually as you do your walkthrough. Okay. Once you have those showings, after a virtual showing, that time is scheduled on a date and time, that buyer's agent would then get a feedback request, just like they did it in person. Because if they didn't want to schedule an in-person showing, there has to be a reason. So they might say they didn't like the layout. They thought the kitchen updates weren't to their client's satisfaction. They didn't like how busy the street was. Whatever that reason is, that they didn't schedule a second showing, right? First showings are happening online. Second showings are happening in person. Okay. When you schedule these, you have different appointment types that you can do: courtesy call or go and show. Go and show means if you have a property that's vacant on a lockbox, it can be confirmed immediately. If it's a virtual showing, obviously, everything's going to get confirmed immediately. Buyer agent defaults, as a buyer's agent, have to also go in there and say, okay, what are my defaults? When I'm initially showing a property, is it going to be a virtual showing first most of the time? Or is it going to be an in-person showing? So you have to be sure when you're scheduling something that you're clicking the right drop-down box to determine what that is. I use this with my buyers all the time. I said, look, this is a huge time saver. You get to stay home. I'll stay at my office. We can look at properties virtually. We can eliminate some properties that may not meet your needs, wants, or what you care about. And we'll only schedule the best properties. Isn't that great? Wouldn't you only want to look at the properties that are the very best ones in the market? Yes, of course. So that's how we do it. You hop on there. As soon as you schedule something, you can see due to COVID-19, they have concerns about COVID-19 and courtesy to all parties. Please do not schedule or attend showings if anyone in your party exhibits cold flu-like symptoms. So they have a COVID-19 kind of disclaimer in there already as a default. And when you look at the showing appointments, it won't allow you to overlap, right? Because if you want to be sure that you're safe, we do it in 30-minute increments. We have no overlapping appointments. So if you're scheduling houses from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. on a listing, that's only 24 showings you can have in a day. Now, what I do with the link that's provided for these virtual showings so that I can give, because everything's about feedback. In a virtual world, it is so important for you to tell the seller or your buyer everything that you're doing, because it doesn't always involve physical action, right? Meaning, if I go show you a house, you know that I just went and showed you a house. Or if we have showings on your listing, you're my seller, you know that people came through the house. In a virtual world, it's not the same. So what I do is I'll take that link and I'll put it into, in this example, this is bit.ly.com. Bit.ly.com, it's free. You can put the link in there. It shortens it. You can brand it. But more importantly, it'll tell me, in this example, again, it might be a little bit small for you to read, but it tells me all of the activity that I had. This was in the first 24 hours on a listing. We had 233 total clicks on the listing tour, the virtual tour. 157 of those came from email, SMS, or direct. 20 or 35 of them came from Matrix, which is our MLS. 32 of those came from realtor.com, and then 9 more came from other sources. So I can follow up with the seller and say, hey, guess what? Here's our activity. If we're not getting any showings, then it's just like physical showings. Like if you're getting showings and you're getting no offers, then something's wrong there, and you need to kind of figure out what you're going to do. So that kind of brings us to a fork in the road, right? A fork in the road, where you kind of have to have a conversation with the seller. What we have found, because these are unprecedented times, and the reason why, in my opinion, we're not seeing as much inventory is because seller confidence is down. If you could explain to a seller how you can sell their home safely, right? You can't say, oh, don't worry about it. Agents are going to use PPE. They're going to be there. They're going to sanitize. There's no way that you can guarantee me as a seller that 100% of the people are going to use proper precautions and that my house will be 100% sanitized and be COVID free. It's impossible. But in a virtual world, like we're talking about, you can explain to them, here are your options. Number one, first showing is a virtual tour. Okay. Second option, first showing is an agent guided virtual tour, right? So I'm guiding you through, whether it's me, the buyer's agent, working with the buyer, or the seller's agent working with the buyer's agent and a buyer, walking them through. Third option, first showing is live, seller or agent guided virtual tour. So this could be a Zoom that we set up ahead of time. And when we were 100% quarantine, we weren't supposed to be leaving for anything, I would have the seller on a Zoom. I would be in my home on the Zoom. Buyer's agent would be at their home, and the potential buyers would be at their home, and the seller would be doing the walkthrough. Is that a bit of a challenge sometimes when our sellers aren't as tech savvy? Yes. Is it still a possibility? Yes. Can you help them and give them instruction because you're becoming a virtual agent? Yes. Okay. Because none of this is normal, but these are all benefits of doing business with me, because I provide better service through the mastery of today's technology, right? I'm figuring things out. And I have one showing that took forever because the seller couldn't figure out how to turn the camera around on their iPad? Yes. Was it funny? Yes, we had fun. Okay, we figured it out. Fourth option, second showing is live with the seller and the agent. Okay, second showing is live with seller and or agent. It could be the seller walking the buyer through the property, or the seller walking the agent through the property, or the seller opening up the home and allowing the agent to walk through, and the buyers are there via video. And then the fifth one is, and again, this isn't normal. This isn't customary to our market or probably yours, but it's still a possibility. Second showing is an unaccompanied walkthrough. That means seller lives there. They say, okay, you want to show my house? We have the buyer and seller contact each other. Again, not normal. Buyer makes arrangements. They go over there. Seller walks outside, says, I'm leaving the door unlocked. Feel free to, I'll be waiting around the corner. Let me know when everything's done. The buyer walks through unaccompanied. Typically what would happen though is that their agent would be with them via video, right? So when we did it, and I'm going to give you some options for video on how to do that. When we did it, I was walking through with the buyers as they were unaccompanied, right? My physical presence wasn't there, but I was with them on the device, on their mobile device, going, stop, turn left, turn right, look down, look up. What do you see there? Is that a water spot up by the skylight? And I'm walking them through, and I'm being their guide just as I would as if I was in the house with them, right? My physical presence isn't what's necessary. It's my knowledge and expertise. So take a second and download these things here. The Zoom app and desktop client. You want to have Zoom on your phone, and you want to make sure that you have the desktop client on your computer. Okay, these are necessary things. I would say next I'll show you that you want to make sure you get a Zoom license, which is the Pro account upgrade. Make sure you also get the Matterport for iPhone app. It hasn't been released for Android yet, I don't believe, but it will be soon. I have an Android. Pretty sad about that, but I use it on my iPad. And then Google Duo. Okay, and actually one more thing, as I'll say, is Facebook Messenger. I use Facebook Messenger every single day for video messaging. It's probably the easiest, and people can use it even if they're not on Facebook. Okay, here's what the pricing looks like. It's $14.99 a month or $150 a year to get your Zoom license. Very easy, very affordable. You can do it for free. I think your meetings are then limited to 40 minutes. I don't want to be talking to a buyer or seller and say, hold on, I have the free version. I'm going to have to send you another meeting link, right? It tells me you can't afford $15 a month. I'm not sure I want you to be my agent. Okay, so here are some Zoom tips and tricks. And I can tell you I've spent since March hundreds, maybe into the thousands now, hours on Zoom. And all of this has been a trial and error. Before that, I had never really been on Zoom. I didn't really like it because it was corporate. But now I do, because now we have to. Scheduling. I live and die by my calendar. I have a Google Calendar. We're not really going to go into that much, but you want to make sure that you have the Google integration for your calendar. So you do that by setting up your profile. Make sure you have your photo, but make sure you do the Google integration so that when somebody says, hey, let's see, can we do a showing tomorrow? Or I'd like to list my house, or I have a referral for you for a new buyer. I say, okay, I could do tomorrow at 1 p.m. Boom, I set it in my calendar, and then all I do is hit make it a Zoom meeting. You see that right there? Make it a Zoom meeting or make it a Hangouts meet. And it creates the meeting for me, creates the link, creates everything. And then I would add the guest. You see that in the right-hand side there? Bring this over here, show you. I would add guest right there. And then that would automatically send an email to the potential client with all of the information, right? In a Zoom cluttered world, our links get lost in our emails, and it's great to have it on your calendar. I can then set up templates. So as we go through this, it could be virtual showing template. It could be virtual open house template. It could be seller showing template. It could be group showing template, so that each time you set it up, all the settings are the same. Okay. I became an expert on Zoom by clicking and exploring every single bit of it to figure out what it does and if I like it or not. Okay. Once you have it, let's say in this example, we're going to do a group showing. I would do a group Zoom meeting, right? And then I would say, I want you to register for that, because if you're an agent, I want to be sure that you're an agent. And then it would give me the information of how many people are registered for the meeting. I can automatically approve them, or I could set it so I have to kind of verify who they are. Next, I would, in the email settings, upon registration, you would send them an email, so you could include listing information, a link to the listing. You could include a brochure if you wanted to. There's also an opportunity for additional branding. So if this was a group showing for a property, I would have like a nice picture of the property. Whatever the one single best picture is, or a couple of pictures, I would make a banner like you see here, Zoom like a pro, but that would be maybe the property address with a nice curb appeal photo or something like that. You can create polls for the meeting as well. Again, this could be, hey, what do you think of this kitchen? How do you rank it? 1 to 5, 5 to 10, have little polls as you go through and as you're walking through the house. It boosts the level of engagement. It also helps you to figure out how people feel about certain things in the house. I had a listing that we're going to be taking soon. We asked them to paint the home, and we came back and it was like lime green, orange, turquoise, and like all these. I'm like, I should have said, please paint it in neutral colors. but I didn't. I said, well, let's put some fresh paint on this. And that's what they did. So something like that, I would probably do a poll as I walk through the house and say, what do you guys think of this color? 1 through 10, give us a ranking. You can also live stream it to different places. So you want to make sure that the live streaming is active. This could be an overflow, or this could be if it's a brand new listing, you want to just advertise it that way. I know some agents are going into Zoom and then streaming right to their Facebook. And keep in mind with clear cooperation that if you have something coming soon, it has to be in within 1 calendar day, or 1 business day. I'm sorry, 1 business day. So don't say, hey, I got something coming soon next week, and you're streaming that on the internet where everybody can save it and have a record of it. So this is where the profile pic and Google integration comes in. It's important that when you have your video muted, you have your photo. You have something professional. I mean, that's not a professional photo, obviously, but it could be, something with your branding, your logo, your company name, that kind of stuff. Okay, but that's where those 2 check boxes, Zoom to get calendar event, you want to toggle that over, and then Zoom to sync contacts, I will toggle that over as well. Zoom bombing. So many of you have heard of this. This is the issue when somebody's holding a Zoom, and it's partially, let me say this, it's partially the people's fault who publicly share their Zoom links, right? They're like, hey, everybody, we're doing a happy hour today. Join us. And they publicly share that. And then they wonder why there's strangers showing up doing inappropriate things. It would be like when you're in high school and your parents are out of town and you tell everybody at school that you're having a party. Well, of course, the wrong people are going to find out. And the next thing you know, there's some party crashers. It's the same thing with Zoom bombing. But if something happens, I'm not, Mom, if you're listening, I'm not saying that I ever did that. But if something does happen, you can lock down the meeting and you can kick the person out. You see where it says lock meeting? Boom. Enabling the waiting room is your other way to kind of put a wall between you and who's entering into your meeting. So I want to be sure that it's agents, or let's say I want to have a conversation with the sellers before the buyer's agent comes in, or if a buyer's agent is going to present an offer virtually, I will say to the seller, just like I would, okay, agent, wait outside. I'm talking to my client in the conference room. We have a conversation. I then let the agent in. That's your waiting room. Okay, enable that. It's one of the best things that you can do. You do have the capability to also edit the waiting room, because I think the default just says welcome to whatever your name is on your account. It's waiting room. I changed it. I like reception area better. Nobody wants to be in a waiting room, but a reception area, not so bad. And you have an opportunity there to also add a photo. And then whatever the meeting is named is what will appear there where it says Jeremias, JMan Maneiro's Zoom meeting. Dress for success. I know that I can't see you guys today, which is like hurting my soul because I am a visual person. I like to see you, interact with you, laugh, high five, hug, do all that. So some of you probably are in your pajamas, right? Let's be honest. We live in what we would call a pants optional world, where even you're in a Zoom type of meeting, you might be dressed professionally from the waist up, but you got shorts on or your pajama pants or whatever the case may be. I still think you should get up, you should take a shower, get dressed, okay, just like you were going to work. Have that routine. Virtual backgrounds can help you to appear more professional. There's nothing more distracting if you've been on a Zoom with somebody and then they have like this whole mess behind them, right? Right now I have a transparent background because I'm using a green screen. But I was on a Zoom earlier today with, I had a committee meeting, and this person's background was so messy. I could not even concentrate on what they were saying. I was like looking back, what is that? They got cereal in a bowl? What? And I'm like, so just make sure you're either your background is neat, or get a virtual background by going to canva.com. You can type in their Zoom virtual background. They already have it set for you. They have ones that you can use, or you can import your own photos. Okay. So do I look pretty? This is my favorite image of the entire presentation. Many people don't like to do video because they don't like how they look. I can tell you that I'm not a plastic surgeon, nor will I play one via video, but Zoom can help you just a bit. When you go into your options there and you hit, maybe you don't want to enable the HD, but I like HD. But see where it says touch up my appearance? That actually in the last update is now a sliding bar. It's like magic. The more it touches up, you'll be 12 by the time you're done. And you're like, wow, it's smoothed everything out. I look so young and beautiful. Okay. But the other part of it is making sure you have good lighting. You don't have to buy expensive lights. It's really simple. If I could see you guys, I'd give you advice right now. But if I was in front of a window, I would just take my computer and turn it where the computer is facing the window, or my face is facing the window, so I get natural light from the outside. That's the best light you could ever have, right? You don't need to buy. I mean, if I showed you my studio now, I do have many lights and green screen and all that, but you don't need it. You don't need it. Just use natural light. Okay, here's the lighting. You don't need those big box lights. Just be who you are and use the natural light. Recording. I do encourage you that you record it in the cloud. You have two options, cloud or local. I did a final walkthrough for a client virtually. The seller who was moving wasn't my seller. I was working with the buyer. We were both virtual. I was at my house. The buyer was at their house. The seller walked us through. It took us an hour and 15 minutes. Okay. An hour and 15 minutes. And at the end of all that, rather than going, oh, that was painful, right? I said to the client, I said, wow, that was probably the most comprehensive final walkthrough I've ever been a part of, because the seller went through and said, you see this switch here does this. And you see the hot tub over here, make sure that you pull the filter out in this time. But don't do this and don't do that. And gave us directions on every little thing in the home. Now that was recorded, and I sent that recording to my client. Again, exceeding expectations, taking a negative and making it a positive, saying, look at, oh, you can reference this now forever, because these are instructions on how to run your home from the seller who lived there for 15, 20 years. Okay. Breakout rooms. Again, if we're going to do a group showing, if we were on Zoom right now, or if we want to do an activity of sorts, or you wanted to do, if you're doing a home buying seminar, something like that, breakout rooms are your friend, because you can divide people into groups, into their own private room. Okay. You can't hear what they're saying or what's going on unless you pop into those breakout rooms individually. Skillful screen sharing is caring. Again, if you've ever been on a Zoom and you're like, can you guys see my screen? Can you hear me? Hello? And then they're like down like this, and they're up like this, like making sure that you can share properly. And that's part of the reason I'm using a program called Ecamm Live, where I don't ever have to really share my screen. I can just share my camera feed. So that's exactly what you see. Because it's a little bit clunky. It takes time. It's not as smooth as we'd like it to be. But if you are going to be sharing something and there is music involved, or maybe it's a seller who's talking about points of interest in the area, or they're talking about common areas, or there's a homeowners association, there's a clubhouse, there's a pool, there's a tennis court, whatever that is, right? If there's a video and there's sound, you want to make sure that you are right there. You see it right there, playing the computer sound. And if there is a video clip, you want to optimize that for a video clip. There is a virtual whiteboard in there as well. If you wanted to use that, make sure you're sharing it. Just like it says there, it's virtual. So you could take notes. You could play hangman if you wanted to, whatever the case may be. And then what I would normally do if I was the host of today's session, I would play music like the first 15 minutes or 30 minutes as people were coming in, just like if I would in the classroom, to set the tone. To do that, I can share just my computer sound when we're doing that. All right. Facebook Messenger. I said, remember, this is my favorite and probably the one I use most often. I want you to download it now. If you don't have it, please just take a second. I'll wait for you to download that. It's so important, because if I message you, and like today's consumer, greater than three, I'm going to say, I think it's 87% of first-time home buyers were millennials. And that number is going to increase. And that's going to be your number one purchaser in the next 5 to 10 years for everything. Because we're seeing the largest transfer of wealth in our nation's history, meaning all of the boomers, the older boomers, are starting to pass away, and they're transferring that wealth on to their millennial children, their older millennial children. So if I send you a message and you don't reply within the hour, I mean, within a couple minutes, really, but if you don't reply within the hour, I'm going to think something's wrong. Right? I'm going to be like, are you okay? Did you get in an accident? Like, it won't make sense to me that you didn't get the message, because with Messenger, it's going to pop right up on your phone. It overrides all other apps. Okay. And I understand that our business is on the go, and that's why, you should use something like that. Well, I'm not going to play that. Next one is Google Duo. Duo. Again, this is probably my second favorite because iPhone people aren't always hip to the Duo. They're like, oh, it's a Google product. I got FaceTime. Don't you have FaceTime? And it's like, no, I have an Android. But what's good about Google Duo is that they don't have to have a Gmail account. If you use Google Hangouts, they do. Google Meet, you can use without. But with Google Duo, it's mobile to mobile only. So if you're going to be doing the virtual stuff, it makes sense to use Google Duo to do. It used to be only one person to one person, but now you can have up to 12 people on Duo at once, and it does that split screen for you. So let's take a second. What I want you to do is that I want you to prank call somebody. Just take your phone out. Do 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 do. We lost you again. Okay. Hopefully you guys can still hear me, right? So I want you to pull your phone out. You're going to open up Messenger, and then I'm going to prank call one of your local agents. See if she answers. Do 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 do. Hey, how you doing, Candy?
Good. I was trying to watch, but it kept locking up.
It's locking up. Well, you're on it now because I'm messaging. I'm just doing a demonstration of how it works. She wasn't expecting to hear from me at all. I haven't talked to her in a while, but this is what's great. It's instantaneous. You just hit the video button on the top. She replied. Hopefully you can catch the playback. I don't even know if anybody can hear me at this point, but we just keep on going. Thanks. What's that?
I said, keep on keeping on.
Keep on keeping on. Oh yeah, they can hear me. All right, great. Here, wait. You're gonna be on the broadcast. Say hi to everybody.
Hi, everyone.
All right, there you go. You're a superstar. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye. All right, so you could see I didn't plan that ahead of time. I do that all the time. I'll randomly pick somebody from my Facebook Messenger and just call them. It's that easy. So if you have clients, you create a group, husband and wife, that's your client group. And you immediately you would hit that camera on the top where you see looks like a little, here, I'll show you this again. One moment, my friends. Okay. So you can see that little camcorder looking thing on the top. That's what you need to press in order to make that video call happen. Okay. Virtual open house. This can be a public open house or a broker's open. I understand that, again, depending on your market, depending on what the governor's saying, your local municipalities, let's face it, like open houses are not the best way to sell real estate. They're not. You got strangers walking in. Let's talk about it's realtor safety and all that. You got strangers walking in that you've never met, and you're trying to go, here's the kitchen. Right? You can do this all virtually. You could set up a virtual open house. What I would do is create an event. So you create the event on social media. If you're not on social media, shame on you. But if you're not, you could do it with Eventbrite, I suppose. Create the event name, whether that's open house, this property address. You could go low tech and send out postcards to the neighborhood and say, hey, we're doing a virtual open house. Here's the website for it. What I would do is go to GoDaddy and get the property address, 123 Anywhere Street.com, have that forward to my event that I created, right? And I'm going to be streaming video into it. And any other way that you want to promote it, you promote it to get people there to see it virtually. So that could be consumers, that could be agents, that could be anybody else who's out there. Now, that virtual open house can be live, or it could be a Matterport. And if we have some time at the end, I'll share my screen. But if you just go to Matterport.com, you go to resources, you go to gallery, you'll see a bunch of real estate all over the world and how different it really is and how immersive it can be. It used to be you could only do it with a $4,000 camera, but like you heard in the second session, there's the Ricoh Theta. There's all kinds of cameras now that you can do these 3D immersive because they're not really videos. It's immersive imagery. It's high resolution photo where you're turning and looking around and doing all that. But they also have an app where you can use your phone to create this 3D world, and they have in the gallery there examples of that. Okay, and again, I'll show you that in a little bit. But this is the dollhouse view of what you get from Matterport. I mean, talk about different, right? I could say, here's the aerial view if we took the roof off the house. Like that was never possible before. We can tilt it, we can turn it, we can go left to right. It really is quite amazing. So here are some programs that I use to live stream, not just Zoom. Your other options are BeLive.tv. Okay, BeLive.tv allows you to schedule up to 7 days in advance. It allows you to have more than one person on the stream, up to 4 people actually. So I like that. So it could be me, it could be my loan officer, and then it could also be me again on my mobile device, so that I could, I have my laptop in the kitchen, and if I'm going to walk through the home, that's what I would do, is I would walk through the home with the phone. Just like an open house. You sit there in a physical open house, you wait for somebody to come. You try not to eat all the cookies. And you're like, oh, okay, somebody's here. Let me walk you through. And you walk through virtually. Same thing, right? It's just taking what you would do physically and recreating that experience virtually. Second option is Restream.io. This allows you to stream to multiple channels at once. What BeLive does, Facebook and YouTube. Restream will do your personal profile and YouTube at the same time if you have a YouTube channel. If you don't have a YouTube channel, it's still great because it will upload it once it's done streaming. It stays on your channel automatically, so you don't have to upload that content. And that's free. Restream.io is free. And then StreamYard.com allows you up to 10 people on that broadcast with you. Okay, streaming with unlimited people watching. All of these are streaming, meaning it's just like we're doing now. I'm talking. You guys can't really talk back. You can comment. You can post stuff in the chat, but it's not like a Zoom meeting where we can have interaction and you can communicate with me. Well, and that's going to open it up for questions. I guess I'm just going to give me some time to show you. Would you guys like to see some of the stuff that we talked about? I know it's going to take you roughly 30 seconds to reply. So it's going to give me time to stop sharing. Okay. One moment. I'm going to share my screen. And feel free to, oh, Candy's back. Feel free to post your questions in the chat. I'm going to go back to Sitting Clouds right here. Okay. So what kind of questions do we have in regards to what we talked about so far? All right, seeing none. First thing is I'll show you is BeLive.tv. Share the screen. All right, so you should be seeing BeLive.tv. Yes. Make sure that's what you see. Yeah, okay. I see that that's what we're sharing. So I would come in here and I'd go start broadcasts. And this is like let's call it an amateur broadcast studio. It really makes it user-friendly for you. I can come in here and I'll say, okay, first thing I want to do is set my destination. If I want it to be Facebook or Facebook and YouTube, I'd go like this. I could add Facebook in there. I can choose whether it's on my own timeline or any of my pages. So let's say I'll just do my own timeline for now. Okay. I want to schedule that stream. So I'm going to do this. Let's say I'm going to do it on Sunday at, I don't know why. This is my virtual open, right? 3 o'clock. You can then add a custom image. And I'm just going to randomly pick an image. Boop. and that'll say open house, whatever you want that to say, the title, and then the description. I would then hit save. I'm not going to hit save because that will post it to my timeline on Facebook, but that's how I would create the broadcast. That's step one. If I wanted to bring a guest on there, I would just share this link with them. All they have to do is click that link. It would bring them into a virtual green room where they would wait until I add them to the broadcast. If I wanted to share my screen, say if I go back to my presentation, I can go like that and go whoop. It's not in the stream yet, but if I go like this, then it's going to bring it up momentarily. Solo on. There we go. Solo off, side by side. If I want to just go me, there's a lot of options of what you can do here. Okay, if I wanted to take that off, I'm going to hide it. I can add widgets. I can change the branding on here, theme, logo, background. That's BeLive.tv. Okay, let me stop sharing that for a second. All right. Next, I will show you the Matterport, and that'll bring us right through to what we need to do here. Stop screen sharing. So the website's going to be matterport.com, but I just wanted to show you this Chrome tab. Take you to South Africa real quick. All right, so we're sharing this, and you could see how if I click on this, you could do this with, if you wanted to view it in VR, you could use Google Cardboard. If I click that, it's going to give you the Oculus Quest. It was where you put it on. You would look left, look right, and you could virtually kind of go through the property this way. See how well I can see that it's on, looks like a river or something like that. If I want to go check out the floor plan, I can do this. This is the Dollhouse view. Okay. I'm going to stop sharing that for a second. Well, actually, here we'll go back. You can see they have Singapore, Texas, Dubai, basement workshop. Look at this Dubai one. It's pretty nice. I showed this virtually in a class the other day. But you want to show the views. Look at this. You can really get an idea of what it's like to be there. Much more than the virtual tour with the sleepy music and the zoom in and the zoom out. It's very much an immersive experience. Okay. Well, do we have any other questions? I'm going to look over in the Q&A. I don't see any. I see in the chat. Maybe Candy, if you want to post in the chat, because you're doing a lot of this virtual stuff. You've actually been in this class in the beginning of the pandemic. I know you did a video about virtual showings, and it led to business. So maybe if you want to share that with them, you're going to hear that 30 seconds from now. So let me just come back over here. I'm going to share that. Is there any other questions? I can usually like to leave about 10 minutes or so for some questions. All right, I will hop on to Restream.io. I'll show you the other two, and then StreamYard. And then the Facebook. Because, you know, it could be as easy as just doing a video. And here's an example. It's hot over here. my videos. 1 second as I pull this up for you. Yeah, here we go. All right, I'm going to share this so you can see what I'm talking about. Share screen. Chrome tab. Book face. Boom. Okay. All right, so that brings us to the time. I just wanted to show you that last little bit of a virtual showing. You could see that like it could be as easy as just grabbing your phone and doing a Facebook Live and showing the people what the property looks like and let them know when the property's coming up, and make sure that you put out there that it's going to be in the market within 24 hours and other agents can share the listing, and you should be okay. So this is Jeremias, JMan, Maneiro, JMan Speaks. Back to you, folks. So it's my turn. I'm done.